Oh, has John dropped off?
Hello, I'm Hamish.
You're now at the wrong side, mate. I need
Perfect.
to punt myself. What a start, mate. What a start. Two
Perfect.
secs. 2 secs.
There we go. Welcome to the seamless as ever 6-7 Hail Hail. I'm your host, John. We're joined here by Hamish. Enough of our part. We're here to talk about Celtic and the big victory against St Mirren 4-0. Hamish. Kyogo with a double, Liel Abada, and David Turnbull with a goal. How did it go at Celtic Park this evening?
I don't think you can ask for much more than that. Freezing cold, January evening. We don't play our best stuff in January, Scott McDonald said yesterday. And I think he's right in the main. But tonight was pretty good. I really am going to struggle to find any negatives, any criticisms from that. I think there's so many positives looking at the way this team is playing at the moment. And we're just scoring for fun. I mean, 4 more goals tonight's great.
I really enjoyed the performance tonight. I thought, people are a little bit trepidatious when Ange makes a few changes to the team, but I thought the players who came into the team tonight and the rotation in general and even the substitutes coming off the bench in the second half really kept things sharp and freshened things up. And I thought the performance from start to finish, although Curtis Main had the ball in the back of the net pretty early on, apart from that, Celtic looked very, very comfortable from start to finish for me. And actually played some really nice football. And I think a few of our big players are peaking in confidence right now. And it's just really magic to see.
Where do you want to start then? I mean, what springs out to you from that?
Well, first of all, I think we should just start with Kyogo. Just the obvious element of tonight's win. I thought Kyogo was superb tonight. And it's not even that he was, absolutely central to all of our play, but he popped up in the big moments and made some really incredibly timed runs that seemed to bamboozle the linesman as much as the St Mirren defence. And just showed that lethal touch in front of goal, that confident touch in front of goal. I think sometimes Kyogo this season, he perhaps hasn't quite had the quick thinking or the finishing that we've seen from him, certainly at his best last season. But I think this is about as good a Kyogo as we've seen at Celtic at the moment. I think he looks, right full of confidence. He's got 18 goals for the season now, and he's not going to be far away, Hamish, from surpassing his total from last season, which was 20. And he's probably going to do it in short order over the next few weeks. And I just thought he was the difference maker tonight in terms of having that quickness of thought and quickness of foot to really slice open that St Mirren defence.
I mean, forget 20. You're looking at 30 as being a realistic target for this season, and I mean 30 goals for me is always a mark that you look at as being an exceptional season that people talk about for years, and potentially with all the football we've got to play in the various cup competitions, you could be looking at even more than 30. Certainly, the rate he's going at the moment since the World Cup, I think he's got maybe 5 or 6 goals in just about as many games, so he's in great form. Do you think his game has changed at all from last season? Maybe I'm misremembering history. And his first goal tonight, I think it was his first goal, the chip over the keeper. Excellent finish, but the vast majority of his goals this season have been kind of similar to the second one that he scored. I don't know if I remember as many of them last season. My memories of last season, again, I could be misremembering, seem to be of kind of different goals. I wonder if he's changed his game at all this season into being even more of a poacher, because he's so effective at it. He's brilliant.
I don't think he's changed his game. I just think that Andrew utilises him in different ways in different games. And I think tonight it was all about making that sharp run beyond the defender, so he was always going to be sitting on the St Mirren defensive line. In other games, we sometimes see him come in a bit deeper and become more involved in the overall build-up play. But tonight, the task given to him by the manager, I suggest, would be to look for those runs in behind and wait for the lightning quick passes in from Hatate and Jota, which he got 2 of. And the Hatate ball in for Kyogo for the first goal was just dynamite, and Jota's quick thinking for the second goal, a first time pass into Kyogo there was as good. So I think when you've got that kind of service, it makes sense to have Kyogo just buzzing in about the St Mirren defensive line, because he was timing his runs just so superbly tonight. There was lengthy VAR checks, and it was because Kyogo, I think, was playing tricks with the system.
Yeah, I mean, his running has never been in doubt, and it's always been finding him has been the big question. But he's just so effective for this team, and he's just the reason I say that. And you're right, he's probably not changed his game, but I remember him last season and taking the goals out of it, which is obviously a difficult thing to do, and just looking at the general gameplay. I seem to remember him affecting games more last season, maybe getting more involved in attacks. I don't think he does that as much. You go through phases in games now where Kyogo doesn't touch the ball for 15 minutes and then he puts it in the back of the net, and it's just so effective. And I think that leads to some people, a real minority, but it is there. I saw some comments earlier, Kyogo's not good enough for Celtic, we need to improve on him and all of this stuff. And I think I personally do feel, what he's given us has altered slightly from last season. Maybe it's just teammates been more in touch with what he's doing, but strikers, how often do you say strikers are judged on the goals and how many they can score, and he's on course for at least 30 goals this season. He's such an effective player. I hate to go back to this. I wonder if the whole Champions League campaign plays in people's minds as well.
Yeah, that's what it was all about. I mean, I don't think any of the Celtic forwards had a particularly good autumn and early winter, and I think that did, change the perception of some people's thoughts or adulation of them. But I think they're outstanding since the break, and I think they're going to be two so crucial players as we kind of push for these trophies now. Debut, who I thought was very comfortable on the ball tonight. If you missed the game, if you haven't seen it and you're just checking in to see what our pattern about it is, he kind of played on the left-hand side of the defence. Starfelt moved to the right-hand side of the centre-back pairing with Cameron Carter-Vickers out, with a slight knock, apparently. If you've missed all the news tonight, Cameron Carter-Vickers dropped out of tonight's team due to a knock he sustained from the match against Kilmarnock. But apparently he's going to be fine, going forward, if not this weekend in the United game next week. And I thought Kobayashi was good, Hamish. What was the thoughts of everyone at Celtic Park on his debut?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an absolutely fine debut. Really comfortable in possessions. Kind of looks like everything I expected him to be honest, and everything I hoped he would be. A good balance to that backline and the team generally tonight, given that we had a left footer playing on the left. I think that's the first thing that springs out when you're watching him, as he is left footed, and when he's moving the ball out to the left wing, it looks much more natural than when Jens or Starfelt are playing there. And I do genuinely think it makes a difference. I think when you're opening it up on the left hand side of your body, there's it just opens the game up more, and it's just easier. It looked much more natural for him to sweep the ball out to the likes of Jota or Juranovic, just much quicker than it maybe would have normal. So I think that was good. The one time he really had to defend in the first half, the kind of 1-on-1 with, I think it was a Younger, he did well. He held him up and blocked it, so that was fine. Maybe as the game went on, second half was a couple of times that they kind of got in behind him, but maybe I'm being kind of a little bit critical for his debut. I'd like to see more of him, put it that way. Yeah,
I mean, he'd be solid. It was about as good a debut as you'll see from a central defender in a match that we're going to dominate possession in. I think he had plenty of quicker passes into the opposition half, and actually in the first half had a fair amount of passes into the final third as we kind of pushed up and put more pressure on them towards the end of the half. So I was pretty happy with his overall show, and I have to say, and it's good to have that kind of balance of having a left-sided defender who can come in and maybe play alongside Carter-Vickers going forward, or given more opportunity if Starfelt has to drop out the team. So solid all around from Kobayashi.
It is going to be a gradual introduction to the team. I think Anne just said that. How far do you think he is from getting more minutes? I mean, would you like to see him maybe next to Carter-Vickers on Saturday? I suppose we might see Welsh or Jens.
I would like to see him play again on Saturday against Morton. I don't think there's any inherent risk in that. I don't think Ange's going to play a much weakened team against Morton, but I think we could see the similar rotation. I think maybe Turnbull might come back into the team. Forrest might come into the team. Players like that, players who I thought looked sharp when they came on tonight, but aren't exactly regular starters at the moment. So I'd like to see him get another game on Saturday, and then I think the manager will revert to Carter-Vickers and Starfelt for Tannadice next week. And I think it will be a gradual process with Kobayashi, just as it will be a gradual process with Iwata, Hamish. He was on the bench tonight, and it seemed to be he was on the bench just to take part in the match day, go through the training at half time and work with the players, etc. He's going to be another who's a gradual. He might make his debut off the bench on Saturday, and then I think he'll be more available for this Dundee United game and that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I was intrigued when I saw him in the matchday squad because I was reading some stuff over the last kind of day or so. I think Ange talking about him, saying that he's like a week away from kind of getting up to speed and getting properly involved. So yeah, I found that interesting. I think that the subs as well is an interesting point because they just over the last 4 or 5 games, the subs really seem to be coming on and making an impact. And I know that's a thing that Ange is really big on. He doesn't see the difference really between starting and being a sub. He just thinks that, you know, if you're on the pitch, you know, you should be doing everything you can to make an impact. And yeah, I mean, I thought Turnbull gets a goal. Forrest was lively as well. So yeah, plenty of positives. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, Hatate, could probably talk about him. He's just a joy to watch. Some of the things that guy does. I mean, that pass for the Kyogo goal was a bit of brilliance, and I felt that we kind of needed bits of brilliance tonight. I think that's how I remember this game was, you know, wee bits of brilliance. You know, the Turnbull goal, the Hatate to Kyogo link up, and we have more talent in our squad than any other team in the country, and I think it's great when it shows.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about Hatate for 3 hours. I know I've not been on the channel for a while, but we could do a whole video on Hatate.
You're
just
welcome
talking
to chat for 3 hours, but I'll be up the road, mate.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, I thought he was good again. You know, I think he's really good. He's playing really well at the moment. Looks more and more as confident than ever, and I think the fitness is there where it wasn't in stages last season, and he looks like a man in command at the moment, and he's one of the first names on the team sheet for me at the moment. So yeah, I'm all happy. I don't know if we should stay here too long talking about the match, Hamish, with you so cold outside Celtic Park, but is there anything else you want to touch on? I thought Alistair Johnston had another good game. I thought Joe Hart had another good game. I mean, that's exactly 5 or 6 saves. 5 or 6 saves over the last 2 matches, and 2 tonight. 2 really good saves tonight to keep, you know, St Mirren out of the game.
Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I'll need to say it again, but that one in the first half looked an incredible save, incredible strike, and an incredible save. And the one late on, I think from Main possibly, up to his right, looked a really good save as well. So I think he really earned the clean sheet tonight. Alistair Johnston, I love the poise he plays with and the way he walks around the park. He kind of walks around with his chest puffed out, and he's such a big commanding presence, and somebody one day will win a 50-50 against him or a shoulder challenge against him, but not tonight. I mean, he just doesn't lose. And you're talking about big players as well, physical players. He had a few with Curtis Main, where Curtis Main kind of bounced off him at times. So I really think he brings a lot of steel. Really, probably a better passer than I thought he would be. I thought he'd be real energetic up and down the wing, and he certainly is. I think it was 89 minutes gone and he made a run of about 80 yards up the wing. But I think the thing that surprised me about him so far is when he has the ball at his feet, he really kind of takes care of it, and he really has loads of options, and really seems to fit the way of playing in the park as well, the kind of inverted fullbacks. And he'll only get better as well. I'll be honest, I'm not convinced about Juranovic at left back. I'm really not. I thought he was fine tonight, but he just does too much cutting back onto his right foot, as probably any right back would do playing there. But I really want to see Bernabei back. Well, I want to see Greg Taylor back as soon as possible, but failing that, hopefully Bernabei.
I've got a good feeling that we might see Greg Taylor in time for Tannadice, and if not Tannadice for the games after that. I don't think he's going to be too far away. I don't think any of the players who missed out tonight are going to be too far away based on Ange's match interviews. Everyone, if you've missed that, as I said, Carter Vickers should be back soon. Giacomakis was injured tonight per Ange. And he should be back soon if he's not away on his travel somewhere. So we've got a lot to look forward to. A lot of players coming back. Getting Greg Taylor back in that team will be massive. And I just have to concur quickly on Johnston. I mean, Johnston won me over when he gave that interview where he says he loves smashing players up in the air. And I mean, that's fantastic. And today he speaks really well. And he plays as well as he speaks, and he's not just a hammer thrower. He's not just someone who's going to get stuck into tackles, but he does bring that as well as playing some nice football at times too. So that's exactly what you want in a Celtic fullback, in my opinion. All good tonight, Hamish. I don't think I've got any more complaints or any more notes. Let you get up the road, mate.
Yeah, just good. I mean, it's nights like tonight that you don't remember come May when it's warm and hopefully we're celebrating a league title, but it's as important tonight as the next derby is. It's 3 points were an offer, and never in doubt tonight. So I just love watching this team, and Saturday's going to be a bit different. It always is, but that's
up for the
not
cup.
a bad thing. Yeah, that's
Hamish, as you know, I love the Scottish Cup, so we're getting started in the Scottish Cup and making a push for another trophy, and that's all good with me. Right, I'll leave everyone just now. Thanks for joining us in the live chat. A lot of you on. A lot of you will be joining Hamish on the channel later in the week as well. Thanks everyone for joining us for another edition of a technically perfect 67 Hail Hail show. Good night. Cheers.